Hey guys, it's Beth and welcome to my craft space. The girls and I thought we should go ahead and give you a tour while it's still clean, so here we are. I'm standing at the entrance to my craft space and it is right off the kitchen. To the right there is the fridge, to the left is the stove, and I like my room being off the kitchen because I can still kind of be in the middle of everything but have a dedicated space. So here are four important parts of my room, those that spend the most time with me. Avery, who's rolling around on the floor. Ellie is sitting there petting our 12-year-old Vizsla mix, Macy, and Heidi is a white mix who is kind of laying on the floor behind Ellie. So a little bit of a backstory here. What you're looking at now used to be our dining room. And then off to the right here used to be a parlor or formal living room, depending on the plans. Our house plans called it a parlor. And both of those spaces sat mostly unused, except for a few times a year when we may be entertained, holidays, birthdays, and then the dogs really liked the couch that was in the formal living room, but nobody else was ever in there. I used to be upstairs in our bonus room, which was right outside of the girls' bedrooms, and I hated it because it was a weird space, and I always felt like I needed to be quiet when they were sleeping or napping or whatnot. And since this space was pretty much unused, I had the idea one day to turn it into my craft space. And I love it. I love being involved in everything, but still having my own space. So here is my main workspace where I do most of my crafting, where most of my supplies are stored, and it is 3 Ikea countertops kind of pieced together on top of some Ikea cabinets and drawer sets. So down below are some Ikea drawer sets, and I don't remember the name, but they're about 12 inches wide, so they can hold like a 12 by 12 inch item inside the drawer. And on top of the cabinets are just some shelving units. At least one came from Michael's and at least one came from Goodwill, but I don't remember the mix of which one came from where. And on those shelves, I have like the cardstock that I use for card bases or just quick cardstock for stamping or matting. I have the paper pads that I use a lot for my block sets. And then I have just a bunch of iris cases that have all of my works in progress, maybe that I'm not accessing all the time, but they're handy to grab when I want. And this is a caddy that is kind of my grab and go caddy. It's got stuff that I can take into the living room or the porch and work on it wherever we are if we're watching a movie or sitting outside or whatever. Above that are just some Ikea cabinets, and they've got miscellaneous craft storage. So down here, the very bottom, we kind of attach the bottom 2 drawers together to make paper drawers. So the first 2 drawers hold all of my colored cardstock. And it is sorted by color. And I have 2 drawers of the cardstock, and then above that, in some of the other smaller drawers, are just embellishments sorted by theme, punches, some other items. And so here the girls are pulling out my patterned paper drawers, 3 full drawers full of loose patterned paper. So when I say that I have a lot of loose patterned paper, this is it. This is most of it right here. And when I was upstairs, most of it was sitting in piles. And so I was so happy to move down here and have all this drawer space because I thought for sure everything would fit nicely. And it didn't. My paper didn't all fit into these drawers, and I cried. And that was the turning point when I realized I have got to start using some of this up because it won't all fit, and I've turned into a ridiculous hoarder. So this is also my desk space. I have my planner, and then my stamps are stored in those 2 baskets above with my inks and some of my Nuvo drops and stuff. Ribbons and twine are kind of on that shelf. And then, yeah, Ellie's showing you my journal planner spot. So I have 2 monitors. I have my laptop with my monitor and then an extra monitor just because when I was working full-time as an accountant, I got so used to having dual monitors that I kind of couldn't go back. I can, do multiple things at once here. So, but that's kind of my desk space. And then underneath that space are 2 bins from Michael's that hold most of my paper pads. And again, that they're kind of sorted by theme if I could. So this first bin holds the fall and all of my Christmas. And then there's another one behind that that has some miscellaneous pads. And then I think Halloween is back there in that one as well. So I have more loose paper than I do pads actually anymore, but kind of panning out. I'm showing you this is kind of where I do most of my crafting, and I have everything I need kind of at my fingertips. The girls work on the other half of that table, so it's a shared space. So I have my trimmer and tape gun. I have my adhesives, everything that I kind of need daily or all the time right there in front of me. And then anything else that I might need frequently, I just have to turn around and reach behind me. Here is the card sketches that I use. A lot of you ask how I store them. This is it. No, fancy way to store them. But when I find them on Pinterest, I copy them over, the ones that I really like, I copy them over to a Word document, resize it so I can fit 4 to an 8.5 by 11 page, print them out, cut them down, and store them in that pink little bin that came from the Dollar Tree. And I just sift through them. They're not sorted in any special way. Haven't figured out how to do that yet, but so this next little basket, also from the Dollar Tree, holds just some scrap cardstock pieces, mostly white and craft, and those I keep there. Like if I'm trimming down and I have a small scrap or strip left, I throw it in that basket, and then when I need to stamp a sentiment really quick, I can just pull from there because those are the colors I use most, and that way I don't have to dig for scraps. This is another Dollar Tree bin that I store some pre-stamped or pre-printed sentiments. When I'm stamping, when I'm taking the time to stamp, I tend to stamp extra just so that it, allows for me to make quicker cards in the future, and same with printing. There's my go-to adhesives, scissors, colored pencils, all the tools that I use all the time. And then, like I said, behind me are the other things that I can reach for quickly. I have additional adhesives in that drawer, and then the one above it is trimmer accessories. Okay, so trying not to make you dizzy, I'm moving around here to back to the front of my desk. Here is a stack of iris cases, and then this wooden tray on top that my husband made me is my Use It Up 2020 tray. And so I collect all the things that I want to use up for the month inside the tray, pull them out, use them, put the finished product back in, and then below that is some other iris bins that have like my collab projects or work in process projects that I pull out and work on all the time. Just want to keep them off my desk so I can stack them there. I have my extra old trimmer down there, and then my sheet loads are in that basket. This is another Ikea drawer unit that has like embellishments stored by theme. And then down here, if I can get down beneath my desk, are card kits. So most of them are Scrapping for Less, but there is one Simon Says stamp kit in there. And I have a basket full of the card kits underneath, plus the stack of boxes on top. And this is why I'm on a mission this year to try and use up some of my older kits so I can make room for some newer kits. So I'm going to back up here and show you the end of this desk. And this is another shelf unit from Ikea, the cube shelf. I have my albums in progress there on the left. On the right are some craft supplies for my girls. And on the top there, they have some general crafts as well as craft kits. And then on the bottom part of the shelf is their card making supplies. So they have their own card bases and their own envelopes and some other supplies down there. So moving over to their side of the table, the girls have their own sets of supplies over here. They've got decorative scissors and markers, and Ellie is showing you that they have their own printed sentiments or stamped sentiments and stuff that they can throw on cards. And then down here underneath, this is just a clear drawer that has embellishments. And then under here is I think a Michael's drawer unit. And it has Avery's paper, as well as like other stickers and supplies. Then I have some extra albums down here in this other Ikea cube shelf. And then this is a Michael's cart. And it's a hot mess right now, but this is where the girls kind of just store coloring books and crayons and random stuff that we want to get off of the table. So then above this window, I have my fabric strip valance that I made last winter. And this was a use it up project for me. I had compiled a whole bunch of pink and green and white and brown materials over the years, thinking I was going to make a quilt or something for my craft room. And I don't really love to sew, so it just sat there. So I decided to put it to good use because I wanted some kind of pop of color on that window, but I didn't want to cover the whole window. Because the window actually looks out onto our back porch and onto our backyard. And from here, I can see our garden. I can see our neighbors' cows through there. And it's a great bird watching spot because our garden draws birds all year round. So I didn't want to cover that. So I have a TV in the corner and then another set of Ikea countertops along that back wall. And I think there's 2 pieces together there, and they are held up by additional drawer units and cabinets from Ikea. And I tried to set things up in stations over here. So I have my silhouette station down here in the corner. I have the silhouette cameo. I think this is the 3. And I have a bunch of mats there. I keep my rolled vinyl there in the corner. And that's my scrap box. So for when I pull stuff off of my silhouette mat, I can just toss it into that box. I have some tools that I use for the silhouette. My heat gun, my Big Shot die cutter, and then I don't have a ton of dies, so they're all just stored right there in the little plastic bin. And then I have some not very sticky tape that I can use with my Big Shot there to keep paper down. And then just a hole punch, stapler, some general things that I might need. Up here in these cabinets, like that one above my silhouette, I do have some extra silhouette supplies stored there. And then in the next cabinet to the right is some cards for soldiers, like my card stash supplies, and then there's some other material and sewing machine up there towards the right. Trying to spin you around, go back down here without getting everybody dizzy, but in that far left drawer unit and that cabinet is where I keep my things to upcycle. So that could be the boxes or trays or wooden pieces that I've picked up at thrift stores that I want to kind of decorate up and upcycle, or the things that I pick up at Dollar Tree, the Post-it notepads, the pencils. I have some album supplies down there, like the paper bags and extra envelopes I use for my mini albums. Below there is a box of vinyl scraps and then some other Cards for Soldiers stuff. Avery's just sitting in front of a random storage cabinet. This drawer unit, I store some of my craft show or just items for sale inventory. And so a lot of my paper products go in here. So I have different drawers for tags and pencil holders, card sets, individual cards, things like that. This is a Fiskars swing arm trimmer, and it's about 9 by 11, I think. So I can cut down an 8.5 by 11 cardstock sheet in here to make my card bases. And I can cut multiple pieces at one time, and it's a nice smooth cut. So I tend to make my card bases on this one. This is just a regular 8.5 by 11 color printer. Over here is a wide format printer, so it can print up to 12 inches, which I like because I can print 12 by 12 pattern paper on here, and it is an Epson Artisan 1430, in case anyone cares. But it's a really nice color printer, and I do love it. Down here is another hot mess of just random things there's storage things that I need to fix, shirts or things that I want to add heat transfer vinyl to. I have a couple boxes of junk journal supplies I inherited when we moved my dad out of his apartment. And then another Ikea drawer unit here that has printer paper, some sewing supplies, my fabric flowers, yarn, kind of embellishment, things like that. So going over here to this other area, this is what used to be our formal living room that we never used. And we decided to set up a separate block space. And that way my husband could also be in here working on blocks if we need, the extra help, or my mother-in-law or whoever. someone can be in here working on blocks and I can be working at the desk that's behind me, my normal craft desk. So we can have, multiple workspaces going on at one time. And there's a lot of times I use both. Like I hop back and forth. If I'm waiting for some blocks to dry, I can hop back over and work on a project at my craft desk. Here are blocks that are just, stained, painted, ready to be used. That is an old hutch that my husband had made that used to be in our dining room. It holds paints and other supplies. This is another Ikea countertop, and it's sitting on top of some gray drawer units. But that is where I usually make my blocks. And then Ellie's standing in front of my studio photo booth space. I have this arm that is my husband made. It's like a permanent arm for my camera, but I can swing it out of the way if I need to. It's hooked up to the wall. And so that holds my camera, and then I have lights set up. And I craft over there at my other desk, but I film here. So anytime I'm doing a process video, I have to bring everything over here, and I'm always forgetting something. It drives me crazy. You'd think I'd finally figure that out at some point. But so this is where I film, and I can take product photography or product photos over here as well. This top my husband made to make it look like an Ikea top because for some reason they weren't selling them anymore. So from this room, we get a view into our front porch and our front yard. And so I love being able to see out both directions from my studio space. Have a TV, and then this drawer unit used to be up in my old craft room, and it used to hold my pattern paper. And now it does, when we reorganized this at the beginning of the year, Ellie has the two drawers on the left, the top and bottom. So she's got like her papers in there. She's got some miscellaneous 12 by 12s down there at the bottom. And then some of her smaller papers are up here at the top. She's got her 6 by 6 pads and her embellishments and her other papers just kind of stored by whatever. I don't know what her organization system is, but she sorted it. She keeps it clean. These are the things I've pulled out to use up this year. So there's just some Use It Up 2020 items, and then some paper packs in there or collections that I would like to do for 12 by 12 pad projects. And then these drawers on the right, the top one, are all my small pads. I don't have very many at all, so they fit in this drawer. And then beneath that, the drawer beneath that is A2 envelopes. And then the two drawers beneath that are bigger, longer envelopes that I can use for pockets, the hot cocoa pockets or whatnot. And I found those for a really great deal. So I have like 1,000 of them. This is just an old rustic shelf, and I have some decorations on it. And then that top clear box has all of my 10 on the 10th cards in it. Then I have some other Christmas cards and cards in those boxes there. So kind of heading back into the other side of my space. I have a little sitting area. When I was upstairs in the bonus room, we had a couch, and Macy, our brown Vizsla mix dog, would always hang out with me and lay on the couch. So when we moved down here, we didn't have room for a couch. So we have this old ottoman that I just covered it with one of Macy's blankets. You can see the holes she's chewed in it. But she loves to lay on soft things, so it's just a fleece blanket, and we added some pillows and turned it into like a little seating area. So Macy can lay here, the kids sit in here and read sometimes. My husband will come in and sit and chat. And then there's Heidi. Oh, the life of a dog owner. But anyway, that's where Heidi spends a lot of her time, is in that comfy little dog bed. So this is my space. And hopefully I answered some questions that you guys had about how I store things or where I store things, how I organize them. I know it was quick and I didn't go into a whole lot of detail, but if you guys have questions about anything, please let me know. If you'd like to see a more in-depth video, let me know, or just specific things you would like to see more in depth. I can do that, but just wanted to give you a quick view of my space. So thanks for joining us today, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.